it's strange. Same way watching The Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 7, The Eye. Things are intense. I feel like Mordor has been created. I'm presuming the Eye means the Eye of Sauron. I'm not an expert in Lord of the Rings, but I know that much, that there is an Eye of Sauron. I have loved the show so far. I'm so excited to see where these stories are going and how, I mean, I feel like at some point, you know, the Half-Foot storyline is going to have to line up as well. The elves and the dwarves and everything, like there's a lot going on that is still very separate that I'm wondering in this season are they all going to come together, but I'm ready to find out. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon 2 weeks in advance, the edited version 1 week in advance, and let's go. Things didn't go great. I mean, the elves are going to have to take notice now. Oh, Lord. Stop, drop, and roll. You stopped and you've dropped. Try rolling.
Soldier, over here!
Good, I like that she's immediately coming to help. I was about to get cross with her for being like, over here, as in like, leave him. Oh. Oh, I knew he wasn't going to make it. I knew. He was, because he had a girlfriend and he was all happy and talking about getting married. Oh my god. He's in the half that didn't collapse, right? Yep.
My great-grand used to speak of mountains to the south that could spit fire rock.
Oh, yes.
Said they go to sleep.
She knows his magic isn't always good and he's not always fully in control.
Fixing it?
Don't go closer, don't go closer! He doesn't know. He's helped you, don't turn on him now. He was trying to fix the tree. I think.
Help us.
He's very good at earnest appeals.
All things must one day be consumed and fade away to ash. Father. We do not dig in earth that cannot support it, delving into depths beyond the darkness, tempting shadow, rock, and mine.
So if he does,
is all beneath the mountain.
if he doesn't want to do it because he thinks mining it is too dangerous, that is one thing. If he doesn't want to do it just because he thinks, who cares, that's less one thing.
I will.
Because you're afraid of a bloody rockfall.
The fate of the elves was decided many ages
I mean,
ago.
it's more than just a little rock
By
fall.
minds much
I agree with both of them
wiser,
to a point. I would do with the
much
sons.
farther seeing than our own.
Because I realised from pressing pause and seeing the trivia, they're both called Durin. So saying I agree with Durin doesn't clarify very much.
And this entire kingdom.
I think these two
Their
have kind
time
of,
has come.
their relationship is doing better than it was.
Lice-bearded, uncaring old fool!
Clearly we're still gonna get the stuff.
You're not
The elves
going
survive
to
for a lot
let
longer.
this happen. If we reopen the mine ourselves, prove to them there's a safe way to gather mithril.
If
Perhaps
there
we
is,
could
yes.
listen. Perhaps we could force your father's hand.
The will of a king should be counted as dross to be cast to the wind.
You will be king yourself one day. He should be taking your opinion into account as well.
Alright, fine.
Your father's gonna change his mind or die and then you'll make your own mind up. How long do the elves have? Because obviously for them, dying out in 100 years would seem very drastic and immediate, whereas in that amount of time, the dwarves do live longer than humans. Maybe, I don't know, he would quite likely ascend to the throne and be able to make his own decisions. It's gonna bring the leaf to life. Could we just run that one little piece over the tree? Is it really fate to let the elves die if fate also gave you access to the thing that could save them in the exact time they needed it? It's even got his freaking horse. I don't wish any on the horse, but... What was that? That's not Isildur. Isildur is alive though, don't worry. I made the same mistake he did. Your son is alive. Oh fuck! I was like, Isildur's with them, but of course, like, he's potentially crashed under a building and burnt to death. Your son may be dead. I was just so cockily telling him, your son's alive. But I'm in denial that he's dead, so join me.
Where is my son?
Alive, because I say so.
What cannot be known hollows the mind. Fill it not with guesswork.
I feel like there were lots of survivors in the village when she grabbed Theo. But she was like, we're just gonna make our own journey. We're not gonna help anyone else.
Why soldier then?
Life has made you that way.
Perhaps we can make one of you yet.
Let's keep moving though. Safety in numbers. I want to point out, the Queen is perfectly capable of walking right now. Isildur's friend is limping. He should be on the horse. Valandil should be on the horse. Oh, she can't see.
Clear of it.
Nearly a mile.
I thought she meant the, like, shadowed sky and everything. I didn't notice that she's blinded. Okay, she can have the horse. I take it back. I thought by the smoke she just meant the kind of general atmosphere of doom and gloom.
You'll find the big folk settlements on the far side. With any luck, the people there can help you find your stars.
You're not evil. Currently, at least. Jury's still out on whether he's going to stay that way. My leading theory is that he's going to be Gandalf or one of the other wizards, but they could be like, lol, he's Sauron. Lol, he's someone totally separate. Yep. He did do something. He gave the tree a little bit of life. May only be a little flower, but...
And my husband,
Husband?
Celeborn, was his name.
You're wrong. It isn't your fault.
Thank you, sweet child.
It's mine.
You did not intend for this to happen.
I gave power to the enemy.
You didn't know
So that
what you
makes
were
me
doing.
responsible.
Plus, the sheath thingamabob was underneath the guy's... Like, someone had that. They were hiding it. So, like, they would have given it anyway if it wasn't you. Sweet boy.
I believe the wise also look upon what is in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And this was not in yours.
Exactly. I worried it might be that you'd be warped, but you
Do
stayed
not take
good.
the burden of this day upon your shoulders.
Oh, God. Are they heading for the camp? No. Oh, Theo. Is it just like 6 of them, or is this the head of a long army? I feel like Galadriel could potentially take 6. Is he single-handedly doing it? At least he's not risking anybody else's lives, just their own.
We do have our secret names. For use only amongst ourselves. We reveal them only to family. Brothers.
Brothers.
You save it, Durin. For the far side.
It's very sweet that he was going to tell him. See it! Oop. Yeah.
Father. It's more than we ever imagined.
King Durin, there is a...
Enough!
Your son is the one that will one day succeed you, unless you, like, disinherit him now. Like, trust him. He will be the leader of your people one day. The salvation of his people is right there.
How do you expect me to move mountains, Father? If you fall to pieces when I dig a single hole. You speak of greatness for me, but you suffocate in me any ambition, any
You need
desire,
to have this conversation.
any thought is as much a brother to me as if he'd been fired in my own mother's womb.
Good expression.
How dare you?
Did you cross the line with this one?
Invoke your mother's memory to defend your decision to betray your own kind!
No! It's you that's betrayed our kind! Squandering our future so you can cling to the past! You profane the crown you wear!
This is not going well, as much as they needed to have a conversation like this at some point. Thought he was going to disinherit him after all this. Not going to talk to him about it. Why do you think this, son? Let's discuss.
To save them! Why don't you take a look outside?
He saved you. Oh, your friend did.
I say.
Does she want to go after him? Big steps. They're doing their best hiding. Stay hiding, children. Like, are these people that are just meant to help the fallen stars figure out who they are? Could be good. Even though they look creepy, but then they also very... Nori!
He went that way. Go on now. Leave her alone!
You heard her.
Oh.
Off with you now.
Be gone!
Oh my god. Just devastated them. Those are their homes, their means of travel, all of their supplies. All the hope they had. Yeah, so those creepy people are definitely creepy and evil. They live up to all their looks. You haven't seen Halbrand or Bronwyn or Erendir, and that stresses me out. I feel like they're too important characters to die off screen. This is the moment he finds out either way. Has anyone seen her? Surely some of these people recognise him and could tell him the truth without him having to look at this.
Theo.
Oh, good. Oh, thank you. Because neither of them deserve to lose each other. After all the darkness, these are the moments of hope we cling to. Oh, this little family. Oh. Has anyone seen Halbrand? He's all that's left that's missing, and Isildur. I mean, I know I saw Isildur in a barn in the tavern, and then the tavern collapsed, but I feel like he was like, ah, and then the tavern fell in front of him. So, you know, we didn't like see him like scream and then it hit him on the head. So I've decided he's alive, and if the show never clarifies that, Isildur's just off living his best life, wandering the lands. You knew the risks when you came here. Just because you have personally lost your son and you've lost your people, she didn't say, oh, we're going to go and fight the orcs and have a picnic with them. She said that fighting the orcs, you know, it's the freaking orcs, what did you think was going to happen? Obviously, no one here was expecting a volcano, but like, you can't now be furious at Galadriel. Either be furious at yourself for doing that, or think about why you made the decision you did.
You are not in Numenor. Neither of you are. A fault that is mine alone.
Our ships are waiting, my queen.
See, this is why I respect Galadriel, because she, you know, she's kind of swanned into their island, demanded they helped her, and upon looking at the damage that it has caused, though I still think them coming was the right thing to do. I think nobody involved made a wrong choice, even though the consequences, we could not have foreseen the whole volcano situation happening. I love that Galadriel is truly feeling the weight of the fact that she brought these people here and they have suffered as a result of that decision. Because when we first, I mean, knowing she's Galadriel, we assume she would feel something. But when you first meet her, you could easily see her being kind of like, oh, well, it was war, what did you expect? But she's not. She truly, you can feel that she feels the suffering that's been caused by her actions.
For they do not know what they have begun.
I respect this queen. She doesn't regret her decision. She's forging forwards. Yes, obviously there will be times where she will freaking regret it.
Numenor will return.
Then the elves will be ready.
Good.
Captain, we sail with the tide.
I worry that the captain who was once so pro-elf, having lost something himself, oh, he's left your side. I know you lost your son. And I can't even, I mean, I'm being very glib with being cross with you, but like, I can't even begin to imagine what he's going through having lost his little boy. But like, so many people have lost loved ones, and it's going to continue if you don't do something. I definitely think it shows you that Numenor have been living such a sheltered existence that even somebody like him, who was fairly pro-helping Galadriel and helping the outsiders and thinking they should do more, he didn't understand the war they were going off to fight, that it was actually going to have risks.
I wasn't lying. It will be all right.
We will forge our way through this.
Give us a moment.
Not without me.
Is there going to be a mutiny on board this ship? Or on board Numenor itself?
But what of our king? Your king?
Yes, where is he?
Has no one informed you?
Okay. He's alive.
Will not abandon these lands and condemn them to burn.
Good.
Nor will you.
Nope. Good. Okay, everyone I care about survived. Okay, I keep forgetting this sealed orb was potentially squished.
Straight to the Southland!
There is still a spark of hope in these people, and that is wonderful.
His mind too feeble. His eyes too dim to see.
Like a
that
power
no matter
player is
how
coming
many
here.
crests he hurls to the floor, one day this will be your kingdom. And together we will rule.
He should
this
be
mountain
including
and
his
all
adult
others
child
before
in
our
his
time is
decision
done.
making and listening to him. Oof, what's that gonna do?
Seal it up.
It's why the concept of monarchs is ridiculous. You should not have one person with the capability to make every decision by birthright. The king may have just damned his people. Oh my god. Was not expecting that. Uh-huh. You don't say. Okay, so I have absolutely loved that we got to see the creation of Mordor, where it came from. Because obviously in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, I mean, not that the Hobbit goes to Mordor, but in the Lord of the Rings, you just basically have like, oh, there's this place and it's all like volcanic and lifeless and ashy and just miserable. And I don't know, you don't really think too much about what was there before and how it came to be. So seeing the people who were trying to cast off the kind of inherited stigma of having been pro Morgoth and Sauron and everything, and trying to get by, trying to survive, that there were good people there were bad people there, to see them lose everything. Now hopefully they're going to be able to go and form their new little place, which is hopefully not overly close to Mordor, and they'll be able to forge a whole new kingdom. I mean, definitely I got the impression when I was watching Lord of the Rings that it was one of those scenarios where it was like, I am the king of this place, and this place was like a village. And, you know, you be king of that village if you really want to. I suppose the village then had some lands around it, but often in fantasy shows you're like, I am king of this town. But hopefully there is hope for the surviving Southlanders, that they can make a new life, make a fresh start, and, you know, they've survived the worst day. Things can only progress from here. I mean, hopefully. They also are going to be somewhat close to the border of Mordor, which is probably not a good thing if the orcs ever wanted to do raiding parties. I don't know if the orcs do raiding parties at night. Pretty much everybody survived that we knew, which I was hoping for, but I'm also very glad about. The only question mark right now is Isildur, and I genuinely, I don't know if I'm being dumb, I just assumed he wasn't dead. So given that they spent the rest of this episode and I was half expecting the orcs to find him at the end of the episode, be like, there's a live one, sir. Not that that's how orcs sound. And, you know, something to happen there, or we'd see him like crouched and hiding or something. But they don't, it does just seem that he died. Which, you know, my brain is like, no, he's not dead. Didn't see it properly. We kind of saw it, but I feel like we saw he was like the other side of the tavern and then things fell between them, was the impression I got. So yeah, I mean, by the time this episode is up on YouTube, I will have seen the finale, so I will know in that whether or not they confirm if he's alive or dead. But I kind of get the impression he's going to be alive, but we will see. I am very sad for their other friend though. The minute he was kind of the sweet one, the less clever one, the one that had a girlfriend, you're like, he's dead. That is the character that died, and then he did die. Um, the Queen losing her eyesight, but she isn't letting her personal loss cripple her. She's not letting it take away her will. Now, I guess yes, losing your eyesight is very different to losing a child, and I'm not trying to be like overly harsh on Elendil because I mean I could never understand what he's going through, but I can understand why he is acting and reacting the way he is. He lost his son. He fought for them to go on this mission. He's the reason there was the elf was there in the first place, and then he supported the mission, and then he pulled strings to get his son the position as the like horse dude. He would definitely be feeling a lot of guilt for his son's death and all of the other deaths. On Numenor, they were living this sheltered, happy life where they couldn't really understand the potential horrors. And like I said before, nobody could understand or expect a freaking volcano. But no one had ever lived through something like this before. So they weren't prepared for what they were going towards, including Elendil. But for him to completely be like, I should never have helped the elf. Oh, it's all the elf's fault. I don't think we should ever come back here. It means your son's sacrifice was for nothing. All of the deaths that happened were for nothing. You came here because people needed you and because there was a danger that the threat that was posed would one day reach Numenor. And now you're gonna be like, oh, who cares if it does? Not me. It's very reactive. But if he becomes a hardline oppositionist to the Queen and oppositionist to Numenor offering further help to Middle Earth, it will be very frustrating to kind of see this character who is going back on all of his convictions because he lost something. Whereas if Isildur had been the one pulling that horse along, not that you pull a horse along, the one with the horse, he would be like, yeah, let's come back and fight. Ooh, I'm gonna stay and fight. I feel like his outlook would be very different if he hadn't lost his own son. Is that human nature? Yes. I'm not going to be critical of the show if that is the direction he takes, but I will be frustrated with him. I also have a feeling, and again, this feeling, I am just living in denial town. Isildur's not even a character I overly keeps kind of annoying compared to everybody else, but he was a character I was rooting for. I did like his relationship with his dad, or they got closer. The fact that his horse didn't want to go and wanted to go frolicking through the woods makes me think that because they're bonded, it's not just a case of he won't listen and he doesn't want to leave his rider. It's that he can sense that his rider is out there and needs help and is alone, and he's going to go and be a good horse. That is kind of what I got from that scene. Again, maybe I'm just reaching because I don't want anybody to die, but we will find out, I'm sure. I did think they did a very good job of showing the kind of shell-shocked after effects of an incident like that. They'd won the battle, no one could have expected a volcano to come out of nowhere. From individuals like Theo blaming himself, Galadriel, Elendil, all these characters who were like, I made a decision that vaguely led to this, it's my fault. When I wouldn't say it was any of their faults. The only person whose fault it is the man who stuck it in the stone and Adar, because he was behind it all. Yes, you could say, why did nobody open the package and look at the thing to check we had the right item? But even if they had, did they know for sure where it needed to go? No one could have foreseen this specific event. The people of Numenor came to take part in the battle, and they did very, very well when it came to the battle. Nobody could anticipate that they had this special weapon that was going to trigger a volcano of doom. So I kind of hope that as time passes, as the shock wears off, as the wounds heal, they'll leave scars, but they'll heal, that Elendil will start to get a slightly more rational outlook on it. I'm glad Galadriel helped Theo by kind of telling him it's not your fault, trying to help him as best she could. I think she knows firsthand what it's like to take every single bad thing that happens to you and internalize it and make it your reason for being, and she knows that she is not a very healthy or happy person as a result. So I like that she was sort of looking out for Theo. I was very glad Bronwyn wasn't dead. When I was half expecting like him to actually lift it up and to see that his mother is dead. That would be a very horrible way for it to happen. But it was like, surely somebody in here is from his village and could be like, oh, your mum's over there, kid. She's worried about you. But not a single person there. Were they all Numenoran? But I was very glad when she was alive and they were together, and then that Erondir was as well. I was about to say, like, the longer it went without Theo finding his mum, the more I was like, is she going to be dead? And it's going to be that age-old curse of a couple that kisses before a battle, says they love each other, and says, let's have a life together. One of them dies, if not both. But they both survive. They do still have to survive a finale and potential multiple other seasons, but so far they're alive. Obviously Galadriel is going to go off and face the elves, and it's definitely frustrating because, like she said, she's going to face whatever she faces there. What is the consequence for jumping off the magical ship that takes you to the magical lands? Like, obviously are they going to view that as a sacrilege? Has she betrayed them? Or are they going to be like, oh, you were right, yeah, okay, let's deal with that? Because if they spend time being cross with her, putting her on trial, or refusing to speak to her, or doing something to punish her for leaving the ship when Mordor exists and like a lot of shit is happening, it will be very frustrating. It would also make sense with how removed the elves feel and how, he's so focused on saving the elves with this mithril, but what if everything's happening because war is still here? So I'm intrigued to see what happens next, and Halbrand being alive is good, going with her because he needs treatment. Also good for the elves to hopefully see the proof, like, here is a wounded man who is king of the Southland's new village. They need help. I'm very intrigued with how the elves are going to approach it, because are they going to be like, oh, well, tough, we're having a problem, or will they actually help? Will Elrond be back to greet her and be like someone who'd vaguely be on her side? We will see. He will also be leaving, I'm sure, saying, I have a tiny piece of mithril, I don't have much. But I feel like there's about to be a coup with the dwarves. Not necessarily. Maybe she was just like, one day we'll rule. Definitely, I am anti-monarchies. Within fantasy shows and books and worlds, and things, you have to kind of look at it differently to having your real world opinions, because in the real world now, monarchies, fuck off. In this world, when you have a king or a queen regent, like the queen regent in this, who is literally fighting alongside her people, she traveled with them, she's not just someone who sits, yes, okay, she didn't join the battle, but like when the pieces were falling around them, she didn't say, well, I'm going to get to safety, you save everyone you can. She was going and trying to save people as well, and it cost her sight. And then you have kings like Durin the Third, who is like, oh no, I'm not listening to anybody else. I know what's right and I'm doing it. I'm not listening to anybody else. Nope, I'm right, shut up, I'm right. And that is so frustrating. He should not be the king. In the same way that Prince Durin the Fourth should not become king and decide his way is the only way of doing it. Now that is an absolutist monarchy, that is a thing that exists. I definitely think the greatest mistake that the Durins are doing is not talking to each other, and that problem comes with the elder. It is the father who is so sure he is right and so unwilling to trust his son because his son has a different opinion. Maybe if they'd talked about it together, if they'd said, well, we're going to have fail-safes in place for doing this mining, and maybe we can talk to the elves and like negotiate for a deal more of what we want. You don't have to just accept the first deal. Because if you have this thing of, oh, it's the way of the world, the way of the stone and the fire, that the elves are meant to die now, then why on earth would the elves be dying at the exact same time you found the thing that could save them? Surely the stone and the fire is being like, hey dude, the thing's here to save them. It's exactly why I think when people are like, oh, I'm really religious and therefore I can't have medicine. What if God thinks, oh, she's in a time of medicine, I'll give her that illness. I mean, I'm not talking about my opinions on religion, it reminded me of that kind of vibe of like, oh, it's what the fates want, while the fates are there waving the solution in your face. It's here, use me. And you're like, no, but the fates wanted this to happen. Then with the Harfoots, them losing their caravans and everything is absolutely devastating. They went from this unexpected bounty of they had enough food, they were going to be okay, to losing not only their food and their supplies, but their homes, their caravans. Where do they go from here? Is this going to be the reason they become more like hobbits and settle down because they lost everything else and this place has been made recently very fertile and bountiful and be a nice place to live? Are they going to have to come up with another way to live because they don't have any other choice? Or are they going to spend the month, because they were meant to be in this area for months, are they going to spend that time obviously making sure they have enough food but also rebuilding? It'll be interesting to find out, because obviously we're seeing them pre-being hobbits. I like that Nori and her friend, whose name I really need to remember, and then like her mother, Marva, like people were like, we're gonna do this. Yes, we shouldn't have kicked him out. We should go after him. I think again, it's very much they didn't trust him. Then he saved them from the wolves, so they trusted him. Then they didn't trust him, but then what he did made a branch fall down, but also saved everybody by doing all the food. I do feel like it's very true to human nature that you don't trust something new until you can see it's going to help you. But I like that they have chosen to go after him, because they're going after him not just because they think, oh, we should bring him back, but because they know he is in danger potentially from these very scary people that destroyed their homes. It would be very easy for them to say, well, the people that are after him are magical, they are faster than us, they are stronger than us. What could we do against them? We'll just leave him to it. Good luck to him. I love that they are going after him as well. This show is very, very good. The idea as well that the volcanic eruption of Mordor reached very, very far away. Obviously it was just some stones that landed in their clearing, but that makes you wonder how far reaching are the effects going to be. I was almost expecting the dwarves to start talking about it. Is Elrond going to arrive back to the Elven City to find them being like, yeah, we've got bigger problems, mate? Or is Galadriel going to turn up and are they going to know about it already? Are they going to be completely clueless? I have loved this show so far. A reminder that you can find all of these reactions unedited on my Patreon and the edited versions as well, all up on my Patreon right now, and thank you so much for watching.